Now the latest ITV news from Granada Reports with Tony Morris and Lucy Meacock.
Hello, welcome to Granada Reports. First with the news in our region.
Hello there. On the programme this evening.
Desperate for help but left in despair. Accusations genuine claimants are being let down by a system determined to get people off benefits.
Regardless of if it makes disabled people prisoners in their own home, regardless of whether it has the effect that people want to take their own life, and that is happening.
So stay with us, but we start tonight with the case of the man who killed himself after his benefits were cut. He had serious mental health problems and his family say he didn't know where to turn for help. All this week we've been looking at the despair of those in genuine need who say they're being let down.
There are calls from charities and organisations for a halt to the government's cuts and a complete overhaul of the controversial medical assessments, which tribunals show still get too many decisions wrong. In the third of our special report, Elaine Wilcox talks to the people forced to go to court to have benefit cuts overturned.
This is the 16th successful tribunal already this year for Michelle Cardno, a legal advocate. In this case, she's supporting a mother whose benefit has been stopped for 6 months. We've agreed not to identify her because, like many, she fears speaking out will count against her.
Migraines, when they're really bad, I can't move. If I try, I don't even get to the bathroom in time at times. That's how bad it can be.
So how stressful was it having to prepare for a tribunal?
I was panicking every day. What if they don't listen? What if they don't understand? What if they don't care? With everything I provided, I'm thinking to myself, how on earth did they make this decision?
We do not feel that her medical evidence has been taken into account, nor the after effects of the cluster migraines that she gets on a regular basis.
She was backed in court by Fight Back for Justice in Bury, set up to help claimants after legal aid was cut. They had more than 500 cases a week.
The stories we hear daily, people who are being penalised for telling the truth, people who are going into assessments and going into court and saying, yeah, I pushed myself like mad because otherwise I would be bedridden. People who are quite stoic in nature are the ones that are being penalised. The system at the moment is in crisis.
Jim Wright came here desperate for help. He killed himself waiting for a tribunal after a year of benefit cuts, which the assessors now accept he should have received. He had more than 700 pages of medical evidence.
Jim was let down massively by the system, absolutely massively. He's one of those clients that we will never forget. He said he had hallucinations, he said he had paranoid thoughts of hurting himself. What should have happened at that point was it should have been explored further, i.e. a phone call should have been made to his psychiatrist. He should still be here.
Even those with knowledge of the system fear they won't get support in future. Nikki Burke is a former nurse and is now a double amputee.
Medical sort of diagnoses aren't listened to, consultants' reports are ignored. It's just difficult to understand how some decisions have been reached.
The Shadow Work and Pensions Minister told me she's alarmed by government consultation to stop people giving evidence in their appeals, which is their last chance to prove they need support.
The government is taking away, for example, the opportunity for a face-to-face appeal. This will actually reduce the success rate on appeal, so very serious.
Debbie Abrams describes the current system as punitive, with job centre staff and assessors told to reduce the number of claimants.
It's a deliberate policy, as I say, to get people off benefit regardless of what happens to them, regardless of if it makes disabled people prisoners in their own home, regardless of whether it has the effect that people want to take their own life, and that is happening.
The whole procedure, the whole system, it's not there for us. It's there to try and catch us out. That's what they try and do. They're set up to fail. Most people will not fight. They just don't have the strength to do it.
In this case, the tribunal not only reinstated her benefits, it increased them. But she could still be forced to wait up to 10 weeks before the benefits are paid, because the DWP can still appeal this tribunal's decision. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Bury.
Well, we have made repeated attempts for the Benefits Secretary, Damien Green, to be interviewed about the issues we've raised this week. We've been told no one is available.
We have been given this statement, though. Our thoughts are with Mr. Wright's family. In the majority of successful appeals, decisions are overturned because claimants have provided more oral or written evidence.
Now, a lot of people feel very strongly about the issues we've raised this week. Among them, Shirley Houston, Coronation Street's first ever full-time disabled actress.
Izzy Armstrong.
Gary Windass.
Live round here.
Down the street.
What do you do?
Just joined up.
Army. Butch.
Yeah, that was a great opening line. Shirley campaigns on issues affecting people with disabilities. Thanks for joining us tonight. How surprised have you been by some of our reports this week?
Oh, they're just heartbreaking, but what's so tragic is that this is just a small number that's echoed right across the country. And like the family in the last video, they're looking for answers and nobody's willing to give them.
Can you believe how some of them are being treated?
I'd have said 6 years ago, no, yes, unfortunately, because you hear story after story of people being left in nappies for 12 hours a day, people being told that there's enough to sustain them in their own home, people taking their cars off people, people no longer being able to get out into the community or being with their family.
Can you understand, though, why people have to be assessed to see their fitness for work?
Not in the way that they're doing it, and not in the way that they're setting up to trip people up. And also, what is the point? My disability is never going to go away, but I will be assessed from now on for every year. People who have amputated limbs, their limbs will never grow back. People's sight will never come back, but they're being assessed continually. And the cost of that could be put back into those benefits to enable people to be part of society.
OK, now the government says the benefit reforms are increasing incentives for people to move into work. I'm aware you don't believe that's true.
No, I don't, because the section of money to help people go into work has been cut, and it's now a fifth of what it was. Access to work has been capped. People, they're just trying to, because they're not allowing disabled people to be who they are. We're being seen as cheats, or you're forever having to prove your illness, which then is so demoralising, and you take your life to fight that rather than actually being active in life.
OK, Shirley, but by the same token, the government would say we have to reduce the amount we're spending somehow. There isn't an endless pot of money. We have an awful lot of people to pay for who need help.
But the thing is, it doesn't make economic sense. The cuts they make don't make economic sense, therefore it costs more because of people's mental health, because of people becoming homeless. It costs more to reassess people all the time. It just, you know, then if you give people the benefits that they're entitled to, then they can look to support each other in the community. They can volunteer, they can work. But if you can't even afford to get your own, whether it's food or light, and you have no ability to work, what sort of life is that?
Well, we have heard people saying how degrading it can be, and we've been trying to get a response from the government. We really want to talk to somebody about this, as you can imagine, but no one's been available. If you could talk to someone from the government, what would you say to them tonight?
Just turn everything back, do everything that you've done, switch it back, because we fought and fought and fought to come out of care homes in the 80s, and now you're about to force 14,000 of us back in when we don't want to. You're stopping people live in. Our disabled children are never going to be able to live independently. You know, somebody who had life and hopes and dreams like you two have, no longer have, because they're fighting just to basically stay alive.
So you turn it back. Do you honestly believe that they will do that? Do you think they're going to listen?
Well, they've got to start listening to disabled people. They've got to start communicating and talking to disabled people and looking at the experiences people are having, because what they're doing is abuse, which was said by the UN. There's been 11 counts of systematic abuse discovered by the UN of disabled people, and the government haven't answered to any of them.
Shirley, thanks ever so much for joining us tonight. It's a subject that we're going to come back to, and I hope you'll come back and talk to us about it again one day.
Yes.
Thank you very much.